Hey, buddy.
Hey, mate.
Brought your mail in for
No,
you.
thanks for that.
No,
Yeah,
that's
awesome.
right.
Saved me a trip.
Look, I couldn't help but notice that you're a penis.
Yeah. The progressive, egalitarian, neo-indiscriminatory secularists. Yeah, been there one of them for a while now.
I don't know, for some reason I thought you were a massive dick.
You mean the determinist of indiscriminate community knowledge sharing?
Yeah, that's what I thought when we first met.
No, I understand. They kind of similar groups, but no, penis all the way, mate. You're vagina, is that right?
You mean the Valiant Application Group Individualism Non-Discriminatory Atheism?
Yeah.
No, I'm actually a member of the Communal Utilitarian Non-Theist.
Oh, so you're a cunt. Our guest today is the president of the American Atheists, which support atheists who may have been discriminated against for their beliefs, or more accurately, their lack of belief. The group gains attention each year with their annual Christmas is a Hoax billboard, over which our guest has had the pleasure of debating Bill O'Reilly. Pleasure's a strong word, I feel. And beyond this, he has, for reasons we will probably ask about later, has agreed to appear multiple times on Fox to discuss atheism in America. He's also a bona fide inventor with 74 patents, and he's also been credited with organising the largest gathering of atheists ever assembled. With 21 years of activism behind him, we'd like to thank David Silverman for coming on today. How are you, David?
Thanks for having me on the show, guys. It's a pleasure to be here.
So you've got a big event coming up, I believe.
Yes. Thank you for mentioning it. We have the American Atheist National Convention is coming up. It's on Easter weekend, March 29th through April 1st in Oklahoma City. And guys, I got to tell you, a lot of people say this a lot, but I believe this may be the biggest and best American Atheist Convention yet. We've got Hugh Laurie as our keynote speaker. Yeah, and I had breakfast with him a few days ago, and he's awesome. Oh. And he's coming to the convention for a very good reason. He supports us. He is the first A-list celebrity in America to come to an atheist event, and we're just so honored to have him. And we are putting together a convention which is going to be very positive, very diverse, and very welcoming. We're going to have a charity event. We're going to pack food for the hungry. We're going to have a broad range of speakers, but also we're going to have comedy, we're going to have music, we're going to have fun. And we're going to have open bar. Did I say that out loud? Because there's going to be some booze there.
Wade's already booking his ticket. He's just jumped on board. I love it how it's over the Easter long weekend as well.
Yeah, you know why? We do it over Easter weekend because, of course, atheists have nothing better to do over Easter weekend. And
I thought everyone engages in orgies and bloodbaths.
Well, that's I'm not going to comment about the orgies and the bloodbaths.
People just have to find out when they get there.
Yeah, you know what? It's turning out to be a special event, and I can't tell you enough how enjoyable he was to talk to and how excited I am to put him in front of the audience at the National Convention.
And so what my perception is, and I may very well be wrong, but with atheism, or maybe more accurately secularism, it being one of the fastest growing belief constructs in the world today, there are a number of kind of denominations that appear to be coming out of this atheism movement, from humanism to militant atheism. Does atheism risk becoming another sort of religion, and is this a problem?
Well, no, it's not going to be a religion. It can't be a religion because there are no gods involved. It's just the absence of religion. However, people are as the movement, when the movement was very young, it was very small, and so it was very homogeneous. But as it's grown, as the population of atheists has grown, as atheism has grown, as the atheist movement has in effect succeeded in normalizing itself, and the atheist movement has grown, and throngs and throngs of people are coming in, they're coming in with different ideas. They're coming in with different ideals, and they all count for the most part. So, yes, I'm going to stand on a soapbox, and I'm going to say that everybody who doesn't have a belief in a God is an atheist and should use the word atheist and no other word. And I can make a cogent argument for that. In fact, I can use quantitative data and anecdotal data and historical data to make a very persuasive argument that everybody who doesn't have a belief in a God is an atheist and should call themselves an atheist, and indeed has the civic responsibility to call themselves an atheist. And I go into that in my book Fighting God, which is now out on paperback. But people might disagree, wrong people, but they would disagree. But the important point is that we are all allies, and so we are all on the same side. So we have very, very strong opinions on where we disagree, the 1% of things that we disagree on. But if I'm a strong supporter of the separation of church and state. I don't have a belief in God. I believe that people should be good to each other. I believe in I believe in, I'm pro-gay, pro-feminism. I'm a good person. I'm a strong ally, but I like to call myself a humanist. Well, we could get into an argument over whether or not you should call yourself a humanist, but for crying out loud, we have a lot more that we do agree on than we don't. And so let's concentrate on that. Is it splintering? Is there a splintering? Yes. Is it good or bad? I don't know. I would suppose it's good because everybody's getting heard and everybody's getting counted. I would also suppose that it would be good if we could all band together and form an atheist voting bloc and vote the person in a certain presidential office out of office in 2020, and that would be wonderful. So yeah, I think that I don't even call it splintering. I call it growth. And what's happening is that growth is coming with the growth of the breadth of other ideas, and that's good. And it's happening whether it's good or not. So we need to be tolerant of that. We need to be understanding of that, and we need to understand that small disagreements do not an enemy make. The people in the atheist movement are, by and large, good people. They're educated, they're informed, they're caring, they're compassionate, loving people who think who want to do good. And so I'm not going to pick a fight with one of those people because of the 1% difference or the 2% difference we might have, when we can be a powerful force together. So, yeah, short answer to your question is yes, there is a splintering. But I don't like to use the word splintering because it's just a matter of growth, and growth is good. Growth is a sign of our success, and the diversity of ideas and the diversity of how you do it. I mean, I'm sure I'm right. I can make a very cogent argument why everybody should call themselves an atheist. But if somebody doesn't want to listen to me, they're still my friend.
Right, so that's like with the guys you agree on. What about the multiple appearances you've had on Fox? I assume Fox has a strong Christian viewership. Why do you continually appear on these sort of networks? Do you enjoy the punishment or something? Or?
No, it's not about punishment. It's about guerrilla warfare. It's about getting the word out where the word isn't getting out. When I go on Fox News, I go on to make my points. I go on with good sound bites. I go on prepared. And what am I doing? I'm exposing two audiences to atheism. The first audience is the stereotypical Fox News audience, the Christian right audience, who doesn't have any opinion of atheism that's based on knowledge. I'm giving these people the first exposure to knowledge, and I'm giving that to them with good sound bites that they can actually chew on and maybe think about. But really, most importantly, so when I do that, if I can come across it the right way, I can put a face to the word, and I can come across and maybe reduce the bigotry against atheists to those people. But what I'm doing also, I'm also talking to the second audience, which is the audience in the family members of the Christian right that are watching Fox News. And a lot of them are closeted atheists. A lot of them are watching Fox News because their family is watching Fox News. And they need to hear from us. They need to hear that atheists exist, and they normally don't. So if I go on there and I lay in a few, 2, 3, 4 good points, and I make O'Reilly squirm and I make Hannity flustered, those people will hear me, and they will feel maybe more empowered, and they will feel maybe less alone, and that will help them. And so that's the second reason. And of course, the third reason, the most important, well, not the most important, but there is no such thing as television now without YouTube. So those clips that I go online, those clips that I do on Fox News, they stay online. People keep watching them. And so some of those people are the people who are looking. Some of those people are the people who are not Christian right, who are searching, who maybe like to watch Bill O'Reilly, but have never actually seen an atheist go up against him. So you've got 3 really good reasons to go up and take that. And Yeah, I will admit that it is a little bit fun to go up against those guys. I do enjoy it. It's not a glutton for punishment. I do like I mean, I'll just say it. I think I win when I go on those shows, and I do like that. And I do also like to see my friends at Fox News because what a lot of people don't know is that the vast majority of people who work at Fox News are atheists. They live in New York, they work in New York, they're in the entertainment industry. So the makeup person, the hair person, the stylist, the mic person, the camera guy, they're all atheists. And they tell me, they tell me, and they say hello to me, and it's nice when I'm able to connect with them, because they feel like they're behind enemy lines or working in the lion's den, and in a very real way they are.
They give you some dirty info just in case the argument goes that way. You can
tick up dirt. Yeah. Well, Mike behind the camera over there told me that you've done this.
Well, Mike behind the camera. Mike behind the camera. There was actually a camera guy who did give me some advice, because he said I was slouching a little bit in the camera, and he said I should sit up straighter, and so I did. I sat on my jacket. I used to sit on my jacket, and because of the advice from the camera guy at Fox News, I did it again.
That's good.
And do you think science drives people to atheism, or does atheism drive people to science?
Well, the answer I think is both. I mean, when you don't have a belief in a God, so what is science, right? Science is the aspect of learning. Science is the process of learning. It's trial, repeat, and error. So I would say that the first answer to your question is that science drives people to atheism, because most people are raised with religion. And when I say science, I'm talking about the scientific method, which I'm talking about is just skeptical thinking. In that case, skeptical thinking qualifies as science for this example. And so I would say that definitely drives people to atheism. But then once they're there and they realize that there is no man in the sky, that the world is full of actual wonder, that God did it isn't the answer, that God did it was just a mask for the wonder of the universe. I mean, certainly I've seen over and over again people who leave Christianity, people who leave religion, dive into science because they want to learn, because it's fascinating. The way the world really works is fascinating, and it's addictive when you've been raised all your life as a religious person without that aspect. So I would say it's both. I would say atheism, that the scientific method drives people to atheism, simply because atheism is correct and all religion is wrong. So the scientific method and skepticism will always yield to atheism. And then from there, you just dive right into science a lot of times and just learn what the world is really like, and it's a beautiful place.
So do you think one day science might kill God?
I think one day communication will kill God. And if science brings out that communication as it has with the internet, then yes. I think what the facts are that the atheist position is the factually correct position. And when you have a factually correct position, the thing that you want most of all is communication and discussion. Because the discussion will always come through. The fiction will always go away, and the truth will always come through if actual, reasonable, scientifically backed, skeptical discussion can take place. And so it's not so much science that's going to kill religion, except that science is going to provide the data and the communications method that is needed to kill religion. So I would say that as science improves the internet, as science improves communication between people, dialogue between people, and the availability of information, science will kill God, and it may happen in our lifetime.
And what are your thoughts on someone like, say, Reza Aslan, who has said previously in other interviews that if you needed to disprove God, you could have done it 400 years ago. But people more look at religion as a philosophy or as a guide how to live their life and take sections of it as a kind of a moral compass. Do you think that's bad?
Well, that's just religion telling you that, right? We have people who live without religion, and they have a perfectly fine moral compass. The only reason, and you're not talking hundreds of people, you're talking millions, maybe billions of people in this world live without religion, and they have a perfectly fine moral compass. So why would you believe that religion is needed for that? Well, You would, because religion told you that. That's part of the indoctrination that we've received as children. And a lot of times people think that, well, I got rid of the indoctrination that God exists, therefore I'm free of indoctrination. Well, that's not true. Religion also taught you that it's important for you to defend religion. Religion also taught you that it's important for you to defend the God. So there's no reason to go through that exercise when you realize that that the religion itself is what you're protecting. There's no reason to protect the religion.
What do you think is the most compelling argument against the existence of God?
Okay. So when you're looking for a compelling argument against the existence of God, my most compelling argument is the complete absence of evidence for the existence of God, and the fact that you're asking for the God that your parents believed in. To say what is your most compelling discussion against belief in God, well, I would say it is that the arguments for God are equivalent and no greater than all the other gods that you dismiss. Then you have to realize that there are thousands of gods that are currently prayed to in this country, in this world, and millions in the past, if you go to history, and they all have exactly the same amount of evidence, 0. So when you look at something that is equal to everything else that you consider 0, and you realize that you're talking about something which is just your parents' God, what is the greatest? Why are you even answering that question? You're asking me what is the greatest argument against your parents' God. Why aren't you asking me what the greatest arguments are against all gods? Because all gods have exactly the same evidence, exactly the same reason. The only reason you're asking me about...
Yeah, cop that one, Byrne.
My dad's an atheist.
You have to apply skepticism to it. So the fact is that when you're talking about your parents' God, you're talking about an immortal super being that lives outside the realm of the mathematics and physics which govern the universe. Same with Zeus. But people don't ask what your best argument is against the existence of Zeus. We just don't believe that stuff anymore, because there's no evidence, and because it goes against all the known laws of physics, and because we just intuitively know that. Now, why do we intuitively know that, but we don't intuitively know this other God, which happens to be your parents' God, which has the same features? It goes against everything that we know to be true. This God could create and destroy matter and energy with his brain. This God can live forever and never be born. What exactly is a compelling reason to believe something so fantastical? Well, there isn't one. And there isn't one, even though, so when you're asking why, what the best reason is to not believe in God, you're presupposing that your God is special. You're presupposing that your God is somehow different from the other gods. And you have to take a step farther back than that. And you have to say, okay, why that presupposition? Why my God versus anyone else's? And when you answer that, you'll realize that the best argument against the position of your God is that they are exactly like your God, that your God is exactly like everyone else's God that you don't believe in at all.
Have you ever noticed how Zeus and God and Odin, they all kind of look alike?
Yeah.
I wonder why.
A white male.
Yeah.
Oh my
Right.
God.
Well, people make gods in their own image, right? And people make gods that look like them, and people make gods that think like them. And this is an important thing to know, because if you're pro-choice and you're a believer, your God is pro-choice. If you're anti-abortion and you're a believer, your God is anti-abortion. Same with gay rights, pro-gay rights, anti-gay rights, pro-abortion, pro-gun rights, pro-death with dignity, and whatever those issues are, your God agrees with you. If you're a believer and you support the New England Patriots, your God supports the New England Patriots. That's the way it is. And people create. Nobody says it's wrong. Nobody disagrees with their gods. Nobody says I'm pro-choice, but God is pro-life. We disagree.
Tell you what, it would be really awkward if you supported the Patriots and your God supported the Jets or something, wouldn't it? That'd be difficult.
I wouldn't be able to pray to that God. That God would be wrong.
And one last question in the interest of fairness, because we ask this to anyone whose ideas we challenge, and obviously you're on the show, would like to challenge your ideas.
Sure.
What would it take to change your mind?
Oh,
about there not
Any
being a
evidence
God.
at all would do it fine. I mean, I have said very clearly, I wrote a book called Fighting God, and I said this in writing in Fighting God. The amount of scientifically valid proof for anything supernatural ever is 0. And if anyone proves me wrong once on that, I will quit my job. So, because I don't want to be wrong, right? And I will absolutely quit my job if anybody proves anything supernatural ever. And so what's a supernatural thing? Prove one psychic. Ghost Hunters has been on the air for 11 seasons. Prove one ghost. Show me once. Prove one miracle. The Bible is filled with miracles. Walk on water. Part an ocean. Turn a stick into a snake. Just let me inspect it. Let me test it. Let me see you doing it. Anything. And I will change my mind on the spot because I don't want to be wrong. I am happy. Listen, the world is better. The universe is better if there's eternal life, right? If we get to live forever, that's a good thing. That's why they call it fantasy, because it's better than reality. I would much rather the world have an afterlife. I would much rather think and know that my parents are still alive and that my daughter's going to live forever. I want to live forever. I want that. Unfortunately, that's not real. I also want the World Trade Center to still stand. I also want an eradication of hunger. I really wish there was no hunger in the world. But it's real anyways. And me wanting it to be real doesn't make it real. It doesn't make it any more real. So what would it take me to change my mind? The sliver of real, testable, scientifically valid evidence that shows that the supernatural exists. Any miracle, any ghost, any psychic, anytime, anywhere. Prove me wrong once. I will quit my job on the spot because I don't want to be wrong. But I'm not.
And I'm not. David, thank you so much for joining us. We appreciate your time. If you're in the area, get along to the Atheist Convention over the Easter weekend of all weekends.
I got days off, lots of recovery time.
Yeah,
Open bar.
Open bar, apparently.
The Easter weekend is a great time to have an atheist convention. It's going to be spring, really nice city. And I don't know if I mentioned this, but Hugh Laurie is coming to the American Atheist National Convention, and I'm really excited about that. I don't know if I mentioned that Hugh Laurie was coming, but Hugh Laurie is coming. So the website, again, is atheists.org/convention 2018. And thank you guys for having me on the show to talk about it and to talk to you. It's been a real pleasure.
Thank you, David.
Thanks, David.